Welcome to the Salty Swede Presents, friends. Today I'm going to show you how to plan out a small resin project using mica powder and a split cup. My favorite part of any craft project is choosing colors that work together. This has always been the case for me. Whether it's jewelry or resin or painting, I'm in it for the color, and it just about kills me to make anything black, white, or gray. I've accumulated a lot of mica powders over the years, and I figured out that looking at the powder through the bags doesn't show me how it will look in resin. So I found a way to look at them in their final form. Since I figured out this trick, I create a sample whenever I get new mica powders so I can truly see how they'll look together. It's very easy to do this. I just use 3-ounce paper cups, write the names of the colors on the bottom, and then put a small amount of resin and mica powder in each cup. Mix them up and leave them to cure. Once cured, I tear off the top part of the cup and I've got a nice shiny sample to work with. If you're type A like I am, you'll love this task. If you're not so type A but still like the idea, you can leave your mica and resin to cure in its cup after you use it and for a project and then just save that as the sample. I want to make something really colorful for this project, so I chose this blue, green, and gold combination that I love. The project I'm going to make is a coaster and tray set. I got the molds on Amazon. These are really fun to make and I give them away to friends often. That allows me to keep making them, and my friends seem to enjoy receiving them too. You'll need to know the volume of your molds for any resin project. To do this, you can fill them with water and determine the total volume, but just because your mold holds 70 mils of water doesn't mean that you need 70 mils of resin. When working with resin, there's always a good amount of waste. Resin is thick and moves slowly, so you're always going to leave a lot of it behind in the cup you're stirring it in. Using a split cup creates even more waste because you'll leave a lot of resin behind, so plan accordingly. My coaster mold holds 60 milliliters and the tray holds 70, which should be 130 mils, but I'm going to make quite a bit more than that to account for the waste. When I use a split cup, I plan for 160 mils. There is a bit of leeway in this project because you don't necessarily have to fill the coaster mold entirely, but you do need to fill the tray mold all the way or it will cure without a bottom. The coaster will just be shallower, and that's not a big problem for me. It's just one coaster. I'll mix up my 2 parts in a graduated mixing cup and stir for 5 minutes. I keep a batch of resin on my desk in condiment bottles so they're close by. Once I've got it combined well, I'll pour a small amount of resin in 3 separate paper cups, one for each color. I'll take the remaining resin and put it in my bubble remover machine for the full 15 minutes because I have plenty of work time and I want to let my resin heat up before I pour it. If you don't have a machine, you can let it stand to degas. I'm using Let's Resin for this project, and I know from experience that leaving 160 mils in a cup for 15 minutes won't be a problem for me, but some resins get too hot too fast in this situation and will flash cure. I have a testing video with 4 brands. Check it out if you want to know more. While my resin is in the machine, I'll use the small amount of resin in the bottom of these cups to make a paste with my mica powders. I have just enough resin in these cups to cover the bottom. I don't want more than this because it'll be harder to combine the mica. I'll put the total amount of mica I need into this cup and start stirring. You'll need to experiment with the amount of mica you use. I measure mine with my heart, but finding out for yourself is the best way to learn. The mica might be difficult to combine at first, but keep at it. You want all of the mica to be wet. It might be chunky, but keep going. You'll see it settle down and melt together. If you have a heat gun, you can use that to pop some of the bubbles that have formed. Since there's such a small amount in the cup, the bubbles can easily escape the resin. Using the heat gun periodically will pop even more. I actually enjoy this part. I get to see how it's really going to look when I pour. Once my resin is done in the machine, I'll portion it out equally among the 3 micas. If you want one color to be more prominent than another, you can adjust accordingly. Just make sure you have enough room in your cups. You've already done a lot of stirring, but the last stir is much more fun. Gently stir the mixture until you see the paste on the bottom come up through the center of the vortex. Theoretically, if you have a bubble-free paste and bubble-free resin, you should be able to mix this up with very few bubbles. But this is the real world, so if you've got a ton of bubbles, consider a different brand of resin or investing in a degassing machine. There are a few other ways to avoid bubbles. They're usually caused by friction, so consider what you're stirring with. I like to use wooden stir sticks, but they are porous, so that often gives me more bubbles. I try to reuse my sticks so they're coated in resin and no longer porous. Give that a try and see if you can see the difference. Silicone cups are great for cleanup, but they cause friction too. Test this out for yourself and see what happens with the resin you have. Resins should degas on their own, but that will take time and we want the bubbles out before it starts to cure or we'll have a mess on our hands. A couple of Facebook groups I belong to has people asking a few times a day how to avoid bubbles in your resin. Watch my resin testing video and you'll be pretty surprised how different each brand is. I use mica and resin a lot, and I know how my resin is going to work once I put the mica in. So in this project, I'm going to wait a while before I pour it into the molds. Each resin is different, and you'll need to practice to find out what the best time is to pour. I'm going to leave my resin to sit in these cups for a while, because if I pour it right away, the colors will blend together a lot, but if I wait, they'll move less. My resin is thickening and starting to cure at 55 minutes, but your brand may be different. For your first time, try pouring right away, and after that, maybe a half an hour. See what's going to work best for you. In any case, I'm going to leave the resin in the paper cups for now, because in a small amount like this, it's stable. If I put it in my split cup now, the resin is in a much larger quantity and may cause a flash cure. In the testing video, that happened. Watch and learn from my mistakes. Once I'm ready to pour, I'll put the resin in the split cup. These are from Let's Resin, and they came in a set of 4 with 2, 3, 4, and 5 sectioned cups. I had already used my 3 section that day, so I'm using the 4 instead. By the way, it's much easier to leave the cups to cure and then pull the resin out than trying to clean them out uncured. I'm going to use some packing tape to clean out any dust and debris from my molds, and then I'm going to carefully fold in the sides of the spout so all 3 colors pour at the same time. This takes some practice, so be patient and work slowly. This is my favorite part of working with mica. It's so pretty. If only I could get it to stay where I want it. I use a turntable when I'm pouring coasters. It's easier to get the movement I want. If you've got one, try it out. Stopping the pour from a split cup is tricky. It works best for me to grab the stream with my fingers. If you wait for it to stop, you'll have much different pattern than if you had stopped it quickly. Test it out for yourself. Once I've poured my coaster, I'll refill my split cup and pour the tray. It can be tempting to overfill your split cup, but don't. They can be hard to handle, and even more so when they're full. Now these look amazing right after I've poured, but the resin is going to keep moving, so it won't look this way for long. By waiting that 55 minutes, I've helped to keep it where I poured it, but I don't have any control, especially over the tray, because the finished surface is inside the mold. The coaster I can futz with for a while, but with this particular resin, it's still going to move away from the mold. That's just how mica reacts in resin in a silicone mold. It's taken me a long time to get the hang of what my resin is going to do, but it's still a crapshoot. Just do your best and have fun anyway. I'll leave this to cure overnight and we'll see how it looks in the morning. And here we are the next day. The mica in the coaster did have some movement, but not as much as I've seen before. I'm happy with how it turned out. I can see all 3 colors on the surface of the tray, which was my goal. My resin is still bendy, but that's common for the resins I use, and it will continue to harden over the next few days. The surface of my coaster isn't perfect, but I'll put a top coat on it anyway, so I'm not worried. I hope you learned a few things and are ready to try it for yourself. Thanks for watching.